Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Askler, and Mr. Craig Talley's on the line. We'll be hosting this show tonight. We're going to do open lines tonight, but I got a few topics I want to start off with tonight before we get to that. But if you would like to call in and bring up a topic yourself, or just call in and hang out on the online there, you can do that at 352-504-4170. Or you can just get on to chat right there through Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio at Spreaker.com. And there's probably, Jason's already on already. And hello, Jason. I see you already wrote that on there. So we'll have the chat going and call-ins also. But Craig, we talked before the show, guys, and I got informed today. I put it up on Facebook. The show In Search of the Treasure of the Unbelievable, the show that Craig and I were talking about several months ago, and actually it was last year. The one about finding the treasure, the artifacts, the statues, the gold items. Well, apparently this guy, I think it's Damien, is it correct, right, Craig? Damien or
Yeah, it's Damien
Hirst. Damien Hirst is actually an artist and apparently some kind of a filmmaker. And the way I'm gathering it right now, what I've read, and this was given to me by one of our listeners, I'm not going to give out his name. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, to him. But anyways, he informed me of this article, and I looked it up in 3 different spots. And apparently this guy, the whole thing is a sham. Never even, Craig and I were talking, we never even considered it. Only for the reason that it was a documentary, or come up with a documentary kind of style, and never would have thought somebody would pull something like that, I guess. I'm very disappointed in the guy. I mean, the guy just threw his credibility into the toilet as far as I'm concerned. I'll never watch anything else he does or anything. His excuse was simply, it's not, one of the quotes about him, it's not it's not about what we found, but what we didn't find, or something like that. Essentially, this guy was making these statues and type things, and said they were found. They're thousands of years old, or 100 years old, and then he was going to have a roundabout way of trying to sell these items, or copies of these items, to the general public, whoever can afford them, for like $500,000 a piece or something like that. It was a money-making scheme, and he used history to try to essentially make money, scam us. And I just can't, I don't tolerate it, across the board. We've had this happen before, and Craig knows a few more instances where this has happened, and I guess it just blew up on him. This guy knew what he got caught, is what it amounts to, because I've heard that the museum that put it up, I think it's in Venice, Craig, is that right, Venice?
Yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much invested millions of dollars into this too, and building that museum for him.
I just Googled it I just Googled fake treasure on Netflix, and all it has is his stuff on it.
This guy, yeah.
It says he created a fake documentary about his fake Venice show, and now you can see it on Netflix. But there was one site, it says that around January 6th, it's acting like it's a documentary, instead of being fake.
Oh, and that's what I thought. I'd made a mistake when I looked at it, so I looked it back up this morning on Netflix, still on there, and it says mockumentary. Why don't they just say a freaking lie? It should have said story. It could have said, partially true adventure movie, something. But to come off like
all the stuff about the huge boat and everything, all that was false. The piece that they found, that was the stern bolt or something.
Yeah, the stern bolt. Yeah, that's a stern bolt that I talked about actually on the show too.
And that was fake, probably. Probably the denarius was fake.
All the gold was. It was bronze.
The gold. I found out that they made bronze statues of all this, and this guy's selling these things, and for big money. I think like $500,000 a piece or something.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But he's got like coral and all kinds of stuff mixed in with it, you know, it looks cool, but it's all fake. It's
Oh,
bronze and it's coated with gold.
I'll hand it to him. The guy's a hell of an artist. I mean, really, that was some beautiful, but did he think he wasn't going to get caught? I mean, yeah, granted, people like me and Craig and everything, we only know what we're seeing on the, when you look at documentary about something like this, I'm thinking back towards like the Odyssey series, where they actually found real treasure and all the stuff they go through in the sonar and the, putting all this stuff together, the pieces together and everything. And I really thought, this was kind of the same thing, but they were doing it in a different way. So they didn't have to deal with all this
the other thing
cribbing.
I thought was, why wouldn't some government be after them or something, or that poor little African nation that came off their waters, I don't know, but there's all kinds of questions you can think of now. But
yeah,
there was one I was telling Derek a few minutes ago about this other one I just saw. I was looking after he told me about this. I started looking at it, and then I saw another one that recently some treasure divers found I think it was a Spanish galleon off the coast of Florida, and it had all kinds of French artifacts and coins and stuff on it. And evidently, the Spanish had plundered a French boat,
right,
and or ship. But anyway, the government's saying that the treasure hunters don't get anything. They got to basically give it all to the French government.
No, screw them too. I get mad about that.
it's getting this way all over the place. When they find these huge. There's some that are known in the government. It's like I've talked to some of the treasure hunters. The real guys that found
the real deal.
Found billions of stuff. And they told me stories about almost dying because these people were going to kill them if they didn't give up the stuff they were finding.
Oh yeah, I know this happens. This happens even in
all kinds of sneaky stuff goes on. They were down like in Panama and on the coast of Colombia, and all these corrupt governments. You can't trust anybody. But they had this. He told a story about they got a deal with what was the guy in Panama, Orego or something?
Noriega.
Noriega.
Yeah.
And they said he was the most fair guy they ever saw, that they ever dealt with.
Yeah.
And they get a contract with him, and he goes, "I get half, or I get so much."
Right.
And so they would, get the stuff, and then they bring it up, and they put it in piles,
right.
And then his right-hand man would go in, and they would say, whichever one pile you want or whatever.
That's fair, though. They made an agreement before everything got started. Yeah.
He would say, "Oh, this is excellent. Noriega's going to be very pleased." And he goes, "Contact us, when you want to do it again,
Yep.
And we do the same arrangement." So he said that was about the only country where they could actually, get away with it and get, most of the, get a good size of the stuff without being, harassed and everything.
Well,
they actually got permits.
The way I think about it, Craig, is there should be a statute of limitations on this international, whatever you want to call it. I mean, these ships went down, hundreds of years ago. I mean, it's obviously if if these other countries come in, like what happened with the Odyssey, that still ticks me off. I don't know all the details of it. It's just the principle. Those guys.
Spain is a very poor country. They got killed by the euro and stuff. But
I just think about all the
basically the U.S. government gave them all that stuff because they were hurting.
Well, I don't.
I think money away. So
they just didn't want Odyssey to have any of it. Apparently, I mean, those guys spent.
From what I hear, all of it went to Spain. So.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, these guys spent their time, their money. I mean, it's $1 million a day or something to have that ship out there looking for stuff. They have these, submarines, everything else. These, whatever they call them.
He invented robotics that can pick up the stuff without hurting it on the bottom. And
they did a really good. I thought it was very good.
Professional, and you still get screwed. It's like
it's bull.
It's not a. It's always been that way with
Well,
treasure and greed.
Right.
It's an ultimate in greed.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
saw the same thing happen with the people that found the gold coins in California. Those people fought like hell to keep those things apparently, and they should have. They shouldn't have even been a question. I mean, I don't know. The way this world works sometimes, and these other countries stepping in on us and us catering to them and giving them this kind of stuff. I mean, hell, it's found off the coast of Florida. It's Florida's. If anything else, it's Florida's or U.S. stuff. I mean, there's so many galleons and ships that went down even during First World War, Second World War. I mean, there's ships all over the place out there. And why they're just going to let everybody else do the work and then come in and take all the money? That's a good way for people not to say anything about anything. And there's some of us that like to hear these stories, this stuff because it's true. I think it's what burned me up so much about it is that there's not very many treasure adventures of that size being found very often. When somebody does come across one like Odyssey does, I mean, it's exciting. That's what, I can, watch it and kind of live it through their eyes. And, it's like an adventure that's real, like an Indiana Jones kind of thing. But then you have ones like this Daniel Hurst, or Damien Hurst, whatever, I can't remember his first name. But this guy is just, I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, I really don't. Did he think? I guess he thought nobody was going to find out about it. But
he planned this all out.
God, he should be thrown in jail.
I think
it's a fraud thing,
yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. Maybe I'm looking into it too deep. Maybe I'm just ticked off still. I just found out about it this morning, but it's no different than somebody embezzling money and or whatever, lying and to get money. And he's going to sell his stuff as the authentic thing or whatever. He made it seem like it was authentic. No, I mean, he lied to governments and everything else, essentially, is what it sounds like. I mean, I'm still trying to find more information because there's only a few spots of this in, but I guess Netflix, man, people tweeted the crap out of them when they found out about this. That's one of the articles said. I put it up there on...
Well, evidently they've known since, beginning of January.
Yeah, January, yeah, because I watched it in November, and I started talking. We started talking about it on the show.
You told me about it, and I watched it, and I thought it was crazy. We talked about it twice on the show, I think.
Yeah. And they did. Go ahead.
It just irks the heck out of me that, that they would, I don't know. Netflix is. I dumped them 2 months ago.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to dump them anyway, but they just have nothing but these B movies. Then they went up $1 after I dumped them. Now they got a premium service coming out.
Yeah, they can have it.
That you have to pay even more for.
I don't even blame them so much as I blame this guy because I really think that Netflix should sue the crap out of him. I really, because that's the only place I know of it being. Maybe it's on other channels too. I don't know. I've only seen it on Netflix. But yeah, I mean, it ruined their, it put a little mark on their name too for even putting it on there as what, they thought it was real too. I'm sure they would have said something about it a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I got some photos from a couple people that, like the one picture, I think it was just a picture of one of the statues, and there was a Mickey Mouse statue with coral on it and stuff. But they panned over that. I didn't even remember that one actually. But it wasn't like they were saying they found that or anything. I just thought this was stuff that the museum added as just to get people to look and this and that and the other thing as they come in. But yeah, they had one, like Mickey. He made all this stuff, or essentially made all this stuff. This is his artwork. This was his comeback after being a 10-year hiatus or something like that. But really, he put the nail in his coffin as far as I'm concerned. I just this kind of stuff it makes you mad when you upsets you a little bit when you watch a video and somebody's trying to pull one over on us, and it doesn't happen very often, thank goodness. But then you see it on this scale, and this really just kind of really frosts me because they really just made up the whole thing apparently, the whole background story, everything. But they made it sound, they duped us. Be honest about it. They duped us, and I don't like to be duped. Not that my my opinion matters that much, but I mean, it still ticks me off. I mean, it ticks me off for everybody I told to watch the thing, but I didn't know. I mean, but yeah, this kind of thing needs to stop. I mean, when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, when you're saying it's a true event or leading people on to think it's true, and it's not a movie, it's a documentary. really, I mean, that's
You know,
that's false. Yeah, it's total false.
first we got fake news. Now we got fake films.
Yeah, that's what they called him, as a shock artist or something like that. Yeah, shock yourself right out of the business, because I won't buy your art. Not that I could afford it anyway, but I wouldn't suggest anybody. I think that everybody that bought something from him should demand their money back.
Get their money back.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hurt this guy a little bit, because you know what? You don't get far by screwing people over, and that's what I feel like he did. He really, he tried to benefit financially from falsifying history, essentially, or whatever you want to call it. It's no different than you digging up a bucket full of gold coins you planted, Craig. You know what I mean? When you think about it, it's no different. You're saying it's real, and they find out it's not. You've seen what happens to some people that haven't even done anything wrong and get hammered. I can't, it's crazy. It really just went through me, but I wanted to talk a little bit about it tonight anyways, and give my apology, but I didn't know any more than most people did. I'm just, I watched the same thing you guys watch, and I've watched it a couple times, and I just didn't. I guess I have to read the fine print on everything now. Is what it amounts to.
There was another one. I think I've probably talked about this before too. There was the Clive Cussler, who's the novelist that does adventure stories and treasure hunting and different things. And he takes the proceeds, and he actually has a group, kind of like out of his book, where they go and search for lost ships and different things.
Right,
and they have advanced sonar and all kinds of stuff. So
exactly,
they decided over a couple-year period they wanted to find the Huntley, which was the first submarine, I guess. It was a Confederate submarine,
right?
That was built. And it actually attached on, this bomb on like a pole where they would ram it into the ship, I guess, and then, pull back, and it would
stay
blow
in
the ship up.
Yeah.
But during the thing, it sunk, and these people, all the people died on board. And there was one of the guys, I think he was a captain, maybe a major, but he was in the Battle of Shiloh, which was it was April 2nd, 1862, and he had a $20 gold piece in his pocket, I think in his shirt pocket, and it got hit by a bullet, and it saved his life. And so he on the back of it, he smoothed it all out, and he put "My lifesaver, Shiloh, April 2nd, 1862" on the coin.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that part of it.
So they, according to the thing, they knew that this guy had this coin, and he always had it with him. And so anyway, I saw the movie, where they showed the movie, and at the end, after they there was a couple of funny things that happened during the movie. The archaeologists were driving the salvagers crazy. They want them to dig all the dirt up within about 40 feet of where the sub hit, and then bring it up on the deck.
Right.
Well, the stuff was like this horrible clay that was like worse than molasses. It was like glue almost.
Right.
And so they got tired of doing it, and there was nothing. They never found anything in it. And the archaeologists, were having a hard time even sifting the stuff. And so anyway, this guy, they were on shore leave, and this guy found a big old piece of driftwood, and they wrote "help" on it. And they stuck it way down in the clay. And,
oh, man. I didn't know about that either.
Yeah, so the archaeologists, pull this thing out, and they're going, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable! Look at this!" And so they didn't say anything for a couple hours, and then they told them that they did it and why they did it. And they said, "We don't want to dig up any more of that clay anymore. It's ridiculous. Nothing in there anyway."
Right.
So they said, "All right, you don't have to do that anymore." So when they got the wreck back to the lab, and it's taken I think 6 or 7 years to try to restore this thing, soaking it in distilled water and stuff. but they got this girl, one of the lady archaeologists, real good-looking blonde. She goes up and sticks her hand in there, and she feels something, and she pulls out the gold coin. And it's a really dramatic moment in the, their little, documentary they did on it. And so I thought, man, that is cool. They actually found it and everything, So anyway, about 6 months later, I was at the Northern Virginia Relic Hunters Association, and they had the actual salvagers that had done, all the work and been there. And so they did a talk on it and stuff, and then they were telling all these little anecdotes about what a pain those archaeologists and stuff were.
Yeah.
And we were all laughing because we don't particularly like archaeologists ourselves, but we have kind of a love-hate relationship between us.
Yeah.
But anyway, a little bit later, I was standing in a group of about maybe 20 people, and there was like 3 of the guys there, and they were talking. And so I said, "Hey, that was pretty cool when that girl, that woman archaeologist, pulled that gold coin out." And they looked at me and they said, "That was all put on. They'd already found that gold coin weeks ago." And he said they did that. They just stuck it in there and then had her, do it.
Right.
And the one guy goes, "Yeah, she was really good looking, So they had her do it, and it was all fake." And I go, "Really?" And they go, "Yeah." I go, "You got to be kidding me." It's like
bad.
You can't trust anything. It's like, I've always told people, I remember Ronald Reagan people used to say, you got to trust people. And he goes, "Trust but verify first."
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, though. I mean, Craig, we have a friend. I'm not going to say his name, but he got into this situation where people wanted who he was working for or with or whatever wanted him to plant stuff, or this is what you're going to find today, and he told him to go take a flying leap. He's not going to risk his credibility, and I can't blame him a bit. My hat's off to him because reality TV is garbage most of the time. I mean, it's false anyway. Just by they say reality TV, to me that's what really happens. That's the way they should be making it. But it's all smoke and mirrors a lot of times. Not every show, but I mean, there's quite a few of them, and it was pretty bad for a while there. But a couple of years ago, it was really bad. But God, why can't we just have the real deal? I mean, we know stuff's not going to be found every time the show comes on, or a show comes on, or what have you. But with a documentary, now you question every doggone one you see, and maybe that's what they want. It's like, well, we already got fake news. Now what? We get a fake documentaries, biographies and everything else. Some of these people don't even have a conscience. They don't even care. This guy doesn't even care. I could tell, just by his comments that he, apparently he doesn't care about anything but putting money in his pocket. He's a starving artist. Well, he's going to starve more now. I mean, the guy's a heck of an artist anyway, but
I don't think he's starving. I think he's pretty
no.
off.
I think somebody's going to have enough of all the money he's ripped off of people. When you think about it, these investors and stuff are probably not real impressed with him. I don't know. Craig, it's like that, gold coin with the other thing. We've seen this happen before, but, I've always questioned some of these other shows that we watch and have been series for a while. And, I don't know. I mean, it's out there now, but I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it, just other than it's a bunch of crap. But that they had to, that he did this, or whoever was. There had to have been more than one person that knew about it. I mean, these people had to have known on the ship when they were bringing stuff up. I mean, that's one thing Craig said, and he made me think about it too. That when we watched the Odyssey, when they were bringing up stuff like small cannon or whatever, they were using airbags. They had to be careful with the way they brought it up and stuff. But I remember in the documentary, they're dragging this stuff out of the water, especially the gold items. That big, it's like the size of bigger than a manhole cover. That one sun god or whatever, the gold one.
That thing was that thing was like what, 10 feet across or something?
Something like that.
I don't know. I mean,
it's
it was
huge.
like God, and
But
and
I thought
then
to myself, how are they going to drag it out of the
big,
water? You know,
well, those big bronze or granite statues or whatever they were.
they pulled it up in
You
one
know,
piece. We should have known.
I think they just, they probably had a swimming pool they faked it or something. I don't know.
Well, they were bringing it up
knows
on a
what
ship,
they
but I
did.
mean, or at least that's the way maybe it was special effect. But I mean,
You don't even
so,
know. It might
Yeah.
have been special effects.
Could
and
be.
stuff. I don't know.
But even then, we know better, or I know better for sure, that you can't just hook onto something's neck on a strap, put a strap around one strap and drag it out of the water. Being as old as it is, you're risking breaking it anyways, and not that it could even lift something that big if it was made out of granite or bronze or gold. It just can't just pull it out of the water like that. They're gonna be, by watching a lot of the legitimate shows and the way they bring stuff up, you can't just hook a strap. It's not going to hold, or you're not going to have enough cranking power to get it up out of the water. I don't even know how much that would have weighed, but and the real gold item like that, solid gold, and that's a heavy item anyways. And this big 2 stories tall statue, and they drug it up by one strap on it. We should have known, but it's just not something I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a fake, and I was just watching it. And I was just enthralled
Well, you don't
with
expect it to be fake.
Yeah, I looked at it now. It says this mockumentary thing shouldn't even. I don't know. Just call it like it is. It's a fictional, whatever story. And I would have watched it anyways, Craig. I would have watched.
I've never heard of a mockumentary before.
Yeah.
Is that even a real word?
They have it on Netflix now. Yeah, that's been up there for a while.
Word.
I've seen a couple of them that say that now, but it just. I don't know. I mean, it just, to me, it's just a total lie, and I would have watched it. I like the shows like National Treasure, like Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, and this, the Crystal Skulls. I like all those kind of shows anyway, so I would have watched this one. I just would have preferred to not think that, oh my gosh, in my lifetime somebody found a treasure that big, that awesome. You know what I mean? It just, and we, of course, people talk about it, and then you find out it's fake. It's like, what do you believe now? I mean, that's Craig, this is exactly the reason why some things I find I never put up on the internet, or, anything major I never put up on the internet really, or put a video up, because it just brings the hell down on you, so to speak. Apparently, if you ever made a major find, I don't know if I would, I'd tell you not even to say nothing about it. It sounds bad, but I mean, if you number one, you have the naysayers anyways, but with so many fakes out there, I mean, it's not like they're finding just coins in this, but I mean, some of these treasure hoards and stuff that have been found, like over in the UK, I mean, those are obviously legitimate, the last couple anyways that I know of, the major ones, but it'd be like somebody faking that, just take the wind out of your sails real quick, because here you think it's real, kind of taking, I don't know, I think I'm off my soapbox now. I think I stomped all the suds out of it a little bit.
I got a little story. It's kind of crazy.
Okay.
Mike's been digging, over here by the back fence in the alley, and he's found, I guess, about 6 more bottles. He got one from 1879 last night.
Mm-hmm.
A real nice one. Kind of like it's called a coffin bottle.
Wow.
And but anyway, there's these kids that live up in this house, and they're always coming down the alley with 12 packs of beer and stuff.
Yeah.
And they got a yard that's like a mess up there. It's the only one in the whole area, and the people are town's not real happy about it, but they're always telling us, hey, go ahead and hunt that yard over there. Those people don't care. And I'm like, yeah, right. But they're the people that gave the people we saw next door hunting permission, even though they don't own the house.
Right.
Well, anyway, they told Mike, the other day that one guy told Mike years ago when they put the driveway in, I believe, they scraped it and they found a bunch of bullets, and just under the dirt of 6 or 8 inches deep. And then they saw the top of this metal box, and they had a hard time getting it out of the ground, but they got it out of the ground. They opened it up, and it had a fetal skeleton in it.
Oh my God, that's just twisted.
Like,
I don't want to find that. Yeah, I'm not afraid of it. They just don't want that bad juju.
Well, I'll tell you another funny one. After he was telling me that story, I said, I don't know if I ever told this story, but the place where I had my tennis shop, there was a little strip of woods, and I just happened to go over there one day, and found a 3-cent piece and a bunch of, silver coins, and we started going, took a bunch of friends of mine over there. We started hunting it and found all kinds of Civil War stuff. I found an S&Y belt buckle in my first one, and I guess the first month we were there, this friend of mine calls me over, and he's got this hole open, and there's this jar down in the bottom, and he pulls it out, and it's got like something wrapped in plastic inside the bottle, and it's got this had embalming fluid in it.
Oh God!
And so he's like, "Oh God!" And I said, "Man, just if it was me, I'd just put it back in the ground." But he had to see what it was. Oh no!
Don't open it! Don't open it!
Yeah, it took him a while to get it open, but he got it open, and he pulls this bag out, and I'm like, "Oh God, I don't know if I want to even look." And he opens the bag, and there's a big green parrot inside.
A green what? What's it? A carrot.
Bird.
Oh, no. Okay.
Bird.
A parrot, okay. God. Yeah, I was just thinking about the 150-year-old stink that was on that thing or whatever.
Well, I think it looked like it was from a bottle from like maybe the 30s or something.
Right.
But
yeah. I finally got out detecting 2 days ago, and out here behind my house where I found that seated Liberty or the walking Liberty and a V nickel, and went down there. What was it? 2 days. Wednesday. I guess it was on Tuesday. I went out, and man, Craig, I'll tell you one thing. I forgot about field hunting in the summertime down here. By God, I was out there for 2.5 hours. And it just drained me. It was, it was like over, well, I don't know what the heat index was, but I think it was like 89 degrees or something like that in the direct sunlight for 2.5 hours. And I came back to the house and, it's next door, but, I went around to get through the fence, the gate and the fence and everything, 2 doors down from me. But, I found some bullets and stuff and some shotgun shells this time around. But I went down by the big pond, but it's so overgrown, like about, 20 foot from the water in, towards the land. It's so overgrown that you can't even swing a coil in there. So I guess I'm going to have to hit that more in the wintertime when that stuff gets knocked down. I came across one rattlesnake, and I saw a water moccasin, or what looked like a water moccasin. Could have been just a regular water snake. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to crawl down through that stuff to see if I can find, because there's probably dang gator in there too, knowing my luck. But I did get out and had fun though. I mean, it was hotter than Hades out there, but yeah, it definitely was nice to get out and actually swing a coil. I think I'm going to do that again tomorrow. Shoot down the road from here. I still haven't been out to the Toll Bridge property, the land. I guess it's the guy who watches the property. He was sick, so he said, I'm not going to be out by the, don't want you to come over today. I don't feel like going all the way out to open up the gate, which I understood. So people have these allergy thing and these sinus infections going on down here. Still, it's been going on for months, and it's hard to get rid of. So I said, man, just rest. I mean, it's no big deal. It's so hot out here anyways, and I'll maybe try to get out there this weekend or sometime. I want to really bad, Craig, but man, and just that's the only problem with going to a property like this is where you have a mile mile-long driveway. They have it all gated up and everything like that. They want somebody there, and everything is obvious. It's security reasons and everything. But I'll get out there, eventually here. I'm dying to go out there anyway. But I figure if anything else, I figured out what I want to find, Craig. Is I want to find a U.S. large cent there. That's what I want to find. If I can find one of those, I'd be totally thrilled, because I've never found a large cent down here in Florida. I found Canadian. I found a Canadian large cent, but it's not something that's regular in my area very often to come across. I mean, we do come across. That's another thing is Civil War items. Hopefully I can find maybe some 50. Some three ringers or something. Civil War era, because obviously it was there long before the Civil War. So I'm thinking they may have been possibly, stayed right there by the river, or could have come across the bridge, whatever. So there's always that possibility. I know that I think it was Greg Pompano up there in Gainesville or Hawthorne area. He found that I think it was a buckle, the eagle buckle, and Civil War item. And I know there's been bullets found and everything. Yeah, breastplate. And there's been a lot of stuff even back to the 1700s, late 1700s. I think it was Brian Robinson over at New Age Goonies. He found that trigger guard for a 1778 flintlock that actually was made in Rhode Island. He found that trigger guard down here at that Florida Hunt 4 hunt. So, I mean, we do find stuff, older. This place interests me so much because I know there has not been, the same guys owned it for 25 years. I mean, before that, it really wasn't nothing done with it. It was owned by, my wife's family. It really wasn't a whole lot of activity on there in the last, I'd say a good 40 years. There hasn't been hardly anybody on there except for the landowner now. And he doesn't know anything about metal detecting or anything. He wants to learn. So, I mean, I pretty much know, unless somebody snuck on there, which is possible. He said he did run somebody off about 10 years ago, but he said what looked like it was using like a 1970s metal detector. He said it was really big looking and heavy looking, and it wasn't anything new. So, I'm thinking, well, okay, if he did get in there, at least I'm pretty much safe on anything 5-6 inches down or deeper. And, we know how the stuff sinks down here anyways. So, yeah, I think it'll work out pretty good. I took the bliss tool out in the field, back here, but where the pond is and everything, only because the grass was a little bit high. But I was able to swing the coil pretty good. I was able to get to like 3 or 4 inches off the ground when I was swinging. So I wanted to have the bliss tool there because I know it can penetrate the ground. It gets deeper, and I'm more familiar with it. I was going to take the Quest 40 out or Quest Pro out there, but I'm like, I haven't had enough hours with it to do this kind of hunt. And I don't know what, I know it'll get a dime at like 8 inches or so, but I'm 3 inches off the ground now. Is it going to be able to take up the slack, so to speak? And so, I went with the bliss tool. I was going to put the 15-inch coil on. I said, well, I'm just going to go out there with the 11-inch coil. But I was digging a couple of those bullets. They're older. They're not, they're probably like 30 years old, 40 years old. But they have rifling on them, so I know that it's, pretty much more modern stuff anyways. One thing I did find, I think it's a Peters 12-gauge shotgun shell, but it has no, usually they say number 12 for pre-1935, and after 1935 it goes to 12 gauge or 12 Georgia. But this one just says 12 on it. It has no reference to a number or a gauge or anything. I thought that was strange. I don't think I've found one that doesn't have a specification on there other than it just had 12 on it. So yeah, that's kind of different. So I hadn't seen one in a while. Usually everything I find says number 12 on it. So yeah, I did find a couple. I was only out there for 2.5 hours, and a lot of that was just trying to trek all the way down in there. And I'd metal detected all the way in, and then on the way out took a different way and kind of metal detected there. But I did work around the pond a little bit. I did find some strange stuff, but it's nothing that I can even identify right now. I don't think it's a wagon part. It's kind of like it almost looks like it's come off of a grinder, those hand grinders or whatever, like a plate that would fit on. It doesn't have a hole in the center though, but I mean, it looks kind of like that. like the metal plate that holds the disc on the sanding disc or the grinding disc. It was made out of stainless, or looks like stainless anyway. I'll put a picture of it up maybe eventually. I don't think it's anything period at all because it doesn't. I don't know. I just don't think they would have made something like that back then. It would have been made out of brass or steel or something like that. They wouldn't have been, I don't think, using fancier stuff on a wagon. They want durability, I'm sure. But, you never know until you find out. So, but that was my, pretty much my highlight of the week is getting out metal detecting finally. It's been so miserably hot and rainy and everything else, and me being busy as I am. So, yeah, I told Pauline, I said, I'm ready to take a month off and just camp out in the woods. Just go metal detecting every day. So,
yeah, I went out yesterday, and I went out about, I don't know, 6 o'clock at night, and because I thought it'd be cooler, but it's still 91.
Oh yeah.
And but instead of go out in the middle of the yard, it was still sun out.
Yeah.
And but I decided to hunt right behind the house, and I've hunted the heck out of that area. Just never really found a lot. And I dug a got a piece of aluminum and I got a piece of brass, and Mike was sitting there watching, and I was getting like iron signals, and then I'd get like a weird signal in between. I was showing him how I was hunting without headphones, so
right,
because it was kind of hot, so I was showing him, what the signal sounded like, and I said, that's clipping, that's iron.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went in the house, and I got a nice signal right next to the shed. And I know I've been over that before, but I had the threshold. I was able to run it at almost 6.5.
Wow. Okay.
And I looked up, and the wires are right there, but for some reason I'm not getting the interference like I used to. And he was mentioning the same thing with the Deus, but
they're insulated better,
a lot higher. Yeah. So anyway, I had a hard time getting it shoveled, 3 or 4 inches in the ground, and even stomping on it was hitting all these rocks. I could hear them.
Yeah.
And so I flipped the plug over, and I see a silver dime sticking straight up and down in the middle of the plug.
Ah, cool.
It was a 51 Roosevelt.
Hey, it's still silver.
Yeah. So I looked down at the bottom of the hole. There was all these rocks about, I don't know, maybe half an inch across, half an inch in diameter, all over the place. I don't know, it's weird. There's a lot of gravel in the yard too, in the back and that one side where the driveway is. And you dig down like 2 or 3 inches, and there's topsoil, and then you hit gravel.
Yeah, that's like that one community center I was hunting that used to be the fire department years and years ago, and they dumped. It's actually almost like a gravel. It's a shale gravel, like, man, and it has grass growing over top of it. So you go an inch, and then you hit this stuff, and it's like 6 or 7 inches of that. Then you get into regular dirt or whatever, and man, I tell you, I get tired of digging, stinking Lincolns at, like 8 inches down in that stuff, because it just became a battle. I bring the entrenchment tool with me now because no matter how good of a shovel you have, Predator tool, anything, I mean, it's not that it's going to dull it out. You just can't drive it in, So I use that entrenchment shovel, just beat the crap out of the ground. And, I started getting pull tabs, the old pull tabs, and stuff like that. There's so much stuff there, though. I mean, there's so many iron signals. It almost reminds you of a cellar hole. It just beep, 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 beep everywhere, spitting and sputtering, kind of like your yard in Alexandria, Craig. And, I could pull out good targets, and I pulled out a lot of good ones where I got that 1800s brooch and stuff like that. But it's just, you dig, 20 pieces of junk to get one halfway decent item. And, I still go over there once in a while, but I pretty well, I hit that thing probably for a total of 60 or 70 hours worth of metal detecting. I mean, I just go back and hunt 4 or 5 hours and go back the next day and this and that over the course of a couple of months. So, I mean, it's only not even a half an acre. So, I mean, it's quite a bit of time there, but I still get targets there. And that's where I dug that 38-pound D-shackle and the fireman's wrench, the old one. I still can't find a photo of that anywhere, Craig. I mean, I showed the same design except this one has an extra hole for, like a bolt or whatever, the top of a fire hydrant, a different size one, and I can't find anything that matches up to that. I know what company makes it, and I'm pretty sure it's from the probably 1920s. I mean, it's pretty old, 1920s, maybe 1930s, which doesn't seem like. I mean, it's still 80 years old, whatever. So that's pretty cool as far as a relic go. I haven't never found a fireman's fire hydrant wrench before, so I do find stuff still there. I keep on going back. There's a lot of the places I go to, or was going to. I think we're up to eight. 8 of them are gone. 8 of them are parking lots or buildings or whatever. And this has all been in the last 4 years, and it's frustrating because these were. Well, Mike Miller and Mark Hoover hunted one of them. Brought them over to the church property, and there's still stuff. You still find stuff there. I think Mike found a mercury dime, and Mark found a couple rings. And that's after we've been hunting this thing. You just, every time you go there, man, you're going to dig some junk now, but you're going to find good stuff too. That's where I found a slave ring there, Barber dimes, graduation ring from 1950 or something like that. He couldn't really get the school name. It was really beat up bad. But I found gold rings in there and just all kinds of clad. But it's been a parking lot for, I think it was back in the 40s that the houses burned down. There's 4 houses that burned down on that property on one edge. And then the church, the original church was built in 1858 right there. And they'd since obviously tore it down, built another church across the street. But now they use it as a parking lot. And matter of fact, there's one house that was down when Mark and Mike came over that was actually up, and you see it in my videos, but they've torn it down too. So, I mean, it's pretty much that whole lot. I think there's only one more house on that lot. Everything else has been gone for the square block. So, there's more places to hunt, right there, but I'm sure they'll pave it eventually. It seems like the way things are going in our town, they're just building. We're getting big time, Craig. Rumor has it we're getting a rural king. Woo-woo. The Walmart's moving out of here. I think I'm happy about that too. I don't mind going in there once in a while, but if I need something from there, but that's about it. But so I'm just losing places so fast that now I'm having to do a lot more. Well, trying to do research here is really hard too. I mean, I don't have a lot of the access to historical records like a lot of y'all do that up the East Coast and stuff like that. Or, Craig, where you're at, you have a lot of information that you can get or that's out there about like your town and where things were and all that. I really don't have any of that other than what I gather from older people that have lived here all their lives and remember stuff. And, and even then it's hit and miss sometimes, So I did go back out to that property by the battlefield, and I still haven't. I found a Seminole Indian bullet there. That's not so rare around where I live at. I do find them, every so often. But I didn't find anything else that really, I don't know, even made me think that it was even from the 1800s at all. Or nothing, even 1920s. So maybe it's just a spot that they didn't have a lot of activity in. I may go back there again, but at least in the 10-acre field that I was in, all I found was pieces of pipes and stuff like, metal pipes and stuff like that. And nothing that was anything that sparked an interest. And I've been out there about 9 or 10 times already. So unless I didn't hit the spot, I'll still go out there once in a while, but I don't have any expectations of that place putting out anything, even though it's really, really close to the battlefield. I figured we'd dig at least, 5 or 6 bullets anyways in there. But, just got the one, and it was so far back on the property, I guess it could have been from the Dade Battlefield, the Dade Battlefield Massacre, but I don't think it was. It's just one, they're shooting or hunting or whatever the heck they were doing, and the bullet ended up there. So we actually found more bullets over in Croom when Mike and Mark came over to hunt with me over there. More bullets that day than we had, that I had in the entire field. So and we only hunted about maybe a quarter acre of the property over there. So in Croom there. So yeah, you sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't. You're not going to find treasure every time you go out, but you gotta sit there and work it. It's hardcore after a while, right? I've seen you get
Well, what you
skunked.
got to do is find. Yeah, well, you got to find where they camp.
Yeah,
That's where you'll find the stuff.
yeah,
But if you're just on a battlefield, it's especially a big one. I looked at the map. That is a big area.
yeah.
So it could be, scattered all over the place.
Well, I did find them on my in-laws. They've passed now, but on their property, I found a couple of 50 calibers. So they were definitely old. Where I found them at was just swampy. I mean, nobody'd been in there to drop it or bury it or truly original stuff. They were all white. Just the perfect specimen as far as that goes. But it's all around that area. But I know where they say the battlefield was or where the fort was. Which really wasn't a traditional fort. I don't think they ever really built it up a lot from what I can gather from it. I had to do some more research on that part, but you can't hunt in there anyways. You got to hunt the outskirts, which is about, I want to say maybe 200 yards from where I was at, but it's also off to the west side or kind of the southwest side of the battlefield. So there may not be anything there. It may be more over to the east side of the property. The battlefield there is where a lot of the stuff, flew or whatever. So, it's one of those things. I'll find it eventually. I find the stuff. I mean, I found stuff all around it in the past years, and on different people's properties, private owned properties. So, yeah, you just, you gotta stick with it is all you can do. I mean, you get a hot spot to treasure them. I mean, I had that plantation property that I hunted for, what, Craig, 8 years? And still found stuff there. I mean, and I find stuff every time I went out there. I got spoiled. I mean, there was times I'd come home with $7 or $8 in change. Old coins, not just pen. Indian heads and a lot of V nickels come out of there. Found some barber dimes. I didn't find too many mercury. I only found 2 mercury dimes on that whole property, but everything else seemed old. I think the oldest coin I found there was 1858, something like that, or maybe 1885. I'm sorry, 1885. And I think the barber dime, I can't remember what year it was. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff here that's old. It's just real hard to locate sometimes. Don't have any real reference other than old newspapers, old maps, survey maps. Gives you a pretty good idea where stuff was, but it's no guarantee. But it's not anywhere anyways. So, I mean, I know you go to places, Craig, where you just don't find anything, or you have anyways.
Yeah.
So, just sticking with it. But yeah, I'm hoping to get out this weekend a little bit anyways. I'm really hoping he's feeling better so I can hit that Toll Bridge property, as Bill Marsh calls it, the Toll Bridge, Toll Bridge site. I got to come up with another name for it. I think I'll let Bill have that name. He named it. So, but yeah, are you going to be able to get out anywhere? Have you got any new? Because it's kind of got greened up really bad for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad here. It could, well, of course the woods are all grown up, but the fields aren't real tall yet or anything like that. You're probably talking mostly just about calf high maybe, and it's kind of really loose grass or whatever, loose blades. It's not real thick, so it's kind of not so bad swinging a coil in it. I just brought the big shovel out. I didn't even worry about that pointed number 2 shovel I have with a point on it. Man, that thing rips right through that sod or whatever, the ground pretty good. And I can pretty much pop a plug just with one scoop, pop it up. So it's not like I have to cut a 3-sided plug or anything. It pretty much does it on its own. So that works out good too. A little bit less recovery time or whatever, trying to fight through this stuff. So yeah, I just can't wait to get out more often, because I'm used to hunting 3 and 4 times a week. At least, and it hasn't been like that for the last 4 months anyway. It's been, life's caught up, and I've had to take care of a lot of stuff. I think you've been out a heck of a lot more than I have, and at least in the last month or two. And you've been dealing with rain
Yeah.
and everything else too. So
Yeah, and then all of a sudden now we get 90s almost every day. So
yeah,
but
it'd be like this.
it is July though.
Yeah, I mean July, September, but July to September, then it'll start getting good. And we can really get out there really good. But it's not too bad down here when you're under the trees. At least not for me. But when you're out in the middle of a field, man, you're just baking, and then it stays humid down here, so it zaps you really quick. And I brought water with me and everything, and I got back, and Pauline said, "Man, I thought you'd be out there for like most of the day." I said, "I'd love to." I said, "But I can feel that the heat's really getting to me, and that usually doesn't happen. It was just direct sunlight." My neighbor saw me out there, and he was trying to figure out who's wearing the blue shirt because he's never. I have got this new. I think they're called self-wicking shirts or something like that. Real like a thin material.
Yeah.
I love them. I'll recommend them to anybody, man. I'm kind of like, you guys seen me. I wear cotton, whatever, regular T-shirts, and this stuff is like I think it's self-wicking. I think it's made out of some kind of polyester. It's not spandex or nothing, but I don't know. When it gets wet,
Yeah,
when you start, what's that?
I wear Adidas. It's called a dry fit, and it just wicks right through. It doesn't get soaking wet. It doesn't get hot. I used to play tennis in
Right.
cotton shirts. And
Oh, God.
They got so wet that they would pull down. The weight of them would pull down
I'll
on
stick
you.
to you, yeah. What I liked about with these is that I was sweating like crazy, but just the slightest breeze made it feel like air conditioning. I mean, it was not quite air conditioning, but it cooled me down really easy. Matter of fact, I came into the house and I was going to go right back out. I was like, God, I'm freezing. She goes, what? Because I never freeze. I mean, I go out there in 40-degree weather in a T-shirt, and I was actually getting cold in the house. I said, look, I gotta go back out here and do some more stuff outside or something, or change shirts or something. But that stuff works good if you guys are buy one of them. I'm serious. I think they have them at Sam's, the Habitat, Realtree brand. I think my mom, she was telling me that they were like $12 or $15 there for one of those shirts. They even have long sleeve ones, which you think down here in Florida would be bad, but it's actually protects you a little bit from the sun. And I guess I had to take it by where the mosquitoes are. I don't know if the mosquitoes can bite through that thing. You know what I mean? Because it's so tightly woven. That'd be a good test for it, actually. If it keep off some skeeters off you from biting you in the arms, it might not be a bad idea to get a long sleeve one. Spray it down with that stuff.
I got a couple long sleeve ones.
Yeah.
But I wore it for teaching tennis in the in the middle of the summer.
Right. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were still there or not. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
You got quiet, dude.
It's I used to play in 90-degree heat, for 3 hours in tennis, running around and stuff, and used to sweat buckets, and it's unbelievable how much sweat you can generate. You don't really notice it that much when it's evaporating off of you. But,
well, 3 days last week, I was out here I had to take care of some trees and mowing and everything else, and Pauline was sitting on the porch, and she'd been doing laundry and this and that and the other thing, but come up on the porch, she goes, you need to get another shirts. Before I started wearing those self-wicking shirts, I was wearing these cotton shirts, and it just stuck to me. It's like somebody threw a bucket of water on me, literally. Take off the shirt,
yeah.
And she goes, man, you're sweating. You got to get that shirt off, get another shirt on. I just switch shirts, just come, hang it up on the banister right there, outside on the porch, and grab another clean T-shirt and put it on, at least not be sopping wet or whatever. And, within an hour, I'm changing it again. But I actually took it the second time, and I said, this is ridiculous. She goes, what? I said, I rolled up the shirt and just wrung it out like I would a washcloth. And it's like, man, I can't believe your body loses that much water, that fast. No wonder people start getting heat stroke and stuff and start getting dehydrated. And I drink a lot of water, but
usually if you sweat a lot, it means your body's more efficient cooling. But
yeah,
if you don't sweat and it's hot like that, you're in trouble.
Right. I always had the thing where the shirt starts sticking to you real bad. It's time to take a break. Slow down, get some water, and then go back out and do it that way, so you don't get to that point where you stop sweating. That's scary. It's happened to me once, and It's not you get a very weird feeling. I can't even explain it, but it's like you're going to pass out is what it amounts to.
Yeah, it's called getting lightheaded.
It's called getting heat stroke or dying. Near-death experience while metal detecting, yeah. And my neighbor's a believer. My neighbor is a believer now. You know, he said, "Oh, I'm from New Jersey. I can handle this down." Yeah, it slapped him pretty doggone good to the point now where he takes breaks. And you know, he's like, "I'm so sorry that happened." I said, "Hey, it happens to everybody sometime or another. I mean, you get out there doing too much." And I see him now. He'll be out there mowing or something like that. You'll see him stop and come back 20 minutes later and start again because he has a push mower. And I was like, man, I'm glad you're taking breaks. So you're going to kill yourself out there doing that stuff. But then again, I can't say much. I got there with a chainsaw and start going like, you know, crazy man, cutting trees down and stuff. And Pauline has to come out and pretty much drag me into the house. I'm one of those guys, once I start on something, I want to finish it. I mean, I don't want to have to deal with it anymore. Just get this tree down, get it cut up, get it burnt, whatever, and I'm done. I don't have to come back to it tomorrow. So I'm always pushing. Before I know it, 12 hours has gone by, and when I do get into the house, I'm so beat that I just want to die, but at least I didn't really. But, oh, yeah, Craig, I didn't even mention, I put it up on Facebook. Well, they released the prototype information for the...
Well, yeah, I saw it on this thing called New Atlas, and supposedly he's going to have like 5 different models, and they're looking for financing with 10%. Something or other. Mm-hmm. Like he's not going to put any money into it or something. I don't know, but
yeah.
The top of the line one has 3,200 and something horsepower or 300 and some horsepower. But,
no, it's 5,200, right? Or is that the top of the line, right?
5,200 horsepower.
Yeah.
You know, electric, and it's going to have. It's got robotics all built into it. It's got stereo vision with 5 cameras on each mirror. It's got like something like 70 cameras in this thing. It's got advanced navigation, you know, just stuff I've never even heard of.
Well, it also
didn't have any
AI
price
too.
or anything on it.
Oh, the one I have now. It says it's going to be $1.7 million for the top of the line model. I do have that information, but if this car does even more than that, Craig, this car actually interactive with the person driving. It can actually supposedly anybody can drive this car because it dials itself back or recognizes your experience level or something like that, and it can in each tire is individual. I think it said 25 little motors on each wheel or something like that. You can control whether it's all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. Even the braking systems newer. They do have a hydraulic braking system as a backup. One of the major thing was the battery, and I can't remember it's a LiPo battery, but it's not one we're used to hearing about. But they actually have a charging station for this thing that will charge the battery from 0 volts to whatever from 0 to 100% charging in 4 minutes, and you can run 647 miles on a charge. This thing will have 6,000 foot-pounds of torque. It equals like 3 semi-tractor trailers or something like the power. It's just incredible. You know, where are you going to drive that at? I don't know. You know, really, personally, I feel like I need about 5,200 horsepower so that I can overtake a vehicle on the state road very quickly. No, but it goes 306 miles an hour, 303 miles an hour. Sorry, but yeah, incredible as far as a prototype or a concept car. But I guess as what he was telling me before is they were going to race these things. They wanted to. They already got a track built, a test track and everything, and I'm assuming if he gave that whatever that report of this thing, you could almost guarantee they're partially on their way to doing this. I've seen enough schematics and enough information about it in the past where they're when Ahmed says he's going to do something, that's one thing he's good at, electronics and robotics, and he's like a savant when it comes to that stuff. But it has technology. One of the guys was asking me whether it has any the technology that was in the Bliss tool, and I'm almost positive it has the computer chips or whatever, the filters, the computer chips and stuff, because Ahmed had told me they were going to incorporate from his robotics, from his other stuff that he does, and put it into this car. So yeah, I mean it'll be the fastest. Literally the fastest, most horsepower in a car ever made. I mean, there's nothing that could touch this thing. This is if it comes out the way they say it will, and I have no reason not to think that, because this, that's one thing. Ahmed is a perfectionist, and he does what he says he's going to do as far as that kind of stuff goes. But I don't know, there are not going to be very many people buying the top of the line model, I don't think. Well, when you think about it, Craig,
if something goes wrong and you got to try to find somebody to fix it.
Yeah, maybe, really, I think, when he brings it over here to the U.S., I'd be more than happy to make sure it gets from Florida to California or something like that, or Utah or wherever they're going to take it. I could drive it and make sure it's going to run okay. I don't think that's going to happen.
You can probably make it in 2 days.
I can make it faster than that, brother. Drive it like you stole it. Drive it like you stole it. That's what my dad always told me. They wouldn't be able to catch me. Well, the helicopter or the radio might, but the cars will never be able to catch me. But they have a model too that, the bottom line model I think is 2,500 horsepower. That's still more than a Tesla, isn't it? I know that he said that Tesla is said to go 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. And I said, well, hell, with that, as much horsepower and torque and everything else, if they can keep it glued to the ground, this doggone thing ought to make it, 0 to 60 in like a second and a half, really, with as much power, if they can keep it gripped to the road, to get traction-wise. This thing is hideously fast. I mean, it blows your mind. Nothing else out there like it.
I've seen guys take Corvairs and put electric motor in it and fill the trunk with batteries, and they can beat, nitro racers and stuff.
Right.
They smoke them like they're standing still. I mean, they come off they accelerate so fast into the speed, it's unbelievable.
Well, that's one thing about this car too. It's adjustable. I mean, it adjusts itself. It traction, it has trim control. It's all robotic. That part of this, they mentioned, I think, robotics like 47 times in the article. So robotics is a big part of it. AI. I mean, I'm almost thinking he's come up. Well, obviously, I've said it about the Bliss tool many times, that this thing, it almost like wants to learn in a way, or it figures out stuff as the more you swing over a target. The Bliss tool gets better and better and better on the sound. It's like it's figuring out after so many swings, and it's gathering more information in a way. That's the only way I can come up with it, especially like when we swing faster over iron and stuff like that. It may sound good at a normal speed. You speed up, it'll let go, and 90% of the time it's iron. So, he's using a lot of this technology in there, but he comes at stuff a lot different than most people do. As far as he's away from the norm. He goes, why would I ever make something? Well, back when guys were saying, well, why doesn't the Bliss tool have a screen on it and stuff? And and Ahmed always told me, he goes, if I put a screen on this machine, it'll be something new, something nobody else has ever thought of, or the way it's done and the way it's wired and everything. It'll be something special, So, that's what he told me if he ever put one on there, which I know there's a prototype for a new one. I don't know if it'll ever make the light of day, when it will. Of course, we're not involved with all that anymore. But yeah, the prototype that you had for, I don't know, it's going to be totally different than what we have right now, Craig. But I have no idea if and when it'll ever be released. But the technology is there, as far as what we're seeing in this newer detectors. I mean, he's going to outdo that in a heartbeat. That's what he does, finding different ways to make this electronical stuff work, and Bluetooth and all that stuff. He's very, very smart about it. But I just wanted to mention that too. I put the article up on the Facebook page, the Hardcore Metal Taking Facebook page, if one of y'all want to take a look at it. But I don't know. I don't know anything that can touch that. I know what are sprint cars? Aren't they like 900 horsepower or something like that, or maybe they're 1,000 horsepower? I can't remember. But some of these cars have
I don't know, but
incredible. I mean, NASCAR. I don't even know how many horsepower a NASCAR is, but when you think about it, if you buy a NASCAR or you got into, I think the engine is going to cost you $1 million. You know, it seems like those cars are very high tech anyway. So really, $1.7 million is not a lot to pay for a race car. You know, in that aspect of it. But this thing will keep up. It should keep up with Formula One racers. Really, or it should surpass.
This car would make Batman jealous.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, well, the one guy, the guy that did the article, the author of the article or whatever, reporter, and he even said, he's given him. It's just so outlandish the claims of it. But I know, Ahmed doesn't talk BS. I mean, when it comes down to electronics and what he can do, he's not going to blow any smoke. That's what he does. And it may not be very good as far as the business part of the stuff, but he knows his electronics good. So I just had to smile about that because, I know what Ahmed's capable. I've seen his facilities and stuff over there, and it'd make you jealous, really. Just the building they have over there is incredibly. It's a smart building. It has just wires going. There's so many, and they're all organized, Craig. All the cables, all the HDMI cables or whatever, Internet cord cables, hundreds and hundreds of them going throughout the, behind the drywall, whatever, where they have them routed to. But there's no messiness about it. Everything's run so perfectly. It just blows your mind how nicely it's all set up. Even, they're just putting it behind the wall or whatever, however they're running it, but they're usually like in houses, you look at, like up in your attic where they have wires running and stuff, they're just kind of run. They're not any rhyme or reason, or they kind of just, these are all, at Med's place, it's all perfectly designed or whatever to be organized and to be able to find stuff if you need it, as far as fixing a line or a cable or whatever through the conduit. He knows right where everything is. So not a dumb guy at all as far as, that kind of stuff goes. So we'll see what happens with it. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it'll ever make it here to the U.S. for quite a while. I think they're talking, 3 years for the...
Yeah, it looks like they're looking for investors and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I know he got the first set of that, but I know that's, there's a test track built and a laboratory and the whole 9 yards, but they, I think they said 30 months is when they'll have 8 to 12 cars made in 30 months with the specs that they have on there. So obviously they have that much information, or they couldn't give a date. So we'll see in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think I need to test drive it to make sure it's up to the high standards that all metal detectors have of equipment. I think it's fair. Drive up to see you, Craig. I'll shoot over to see Bill Marsh and Bill Pendergrass, work my way right across the U.S. No problem. I just got to find some place to charge a silly thing up at. So, but yeah, a lot of guys on chat tonight. I saw Jason earlier on here. Gavin's on tonight. Robert Walgas, Bob D. Gon Diggins on there. I see him. And Bill Marsh, of course. And let's see who else we got here. Robert Walgas. I saw a couple more on here somewhere. Yeah, I'm never very good at keeping up with this thing. Craig, we need to get you a separate computer so you can keep up with chat.
I could, but then I get all mixed up.
That's all right.
Information.
I'm always mixed up anyways, it seems like anymore. Getting better at it, I think. So, at any rate, yeah, it's about all the news I had that I was able to take a look at. You see anything related, metal detecting related or whatever in the last couple of days? I haven't really been paying much attention. I saw a couple nice posts, videos and stuff like that, but I never looked at when they were actually uploaded and kind of watching.
Yeah, I've been watching the Stealth Diggers. They got they do video on Thursday at 6:00, and they started doing another video called Not Thursday, and it's maybe 2 or 3 during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll do 4 during the week, but they do, those videos are kind of random things, like they go visit historical places and just whatever. Like the other day, they were driving along and saw a black bear, and so they started following it, and they kept catching glimpses of it, with the camera. It's really funny. And
until it starts stalking them, and it comes up behind them and says, "I got you."
Yeah, it was funny. They were at a site the other day, and they found a round ball, but it wasn't lead. And so I told him it was probably pewter, and so he said, "Oh, that's interesting. We never." I said, "Well, I found pewter round balls along Washington's March with the French Army through. They went through Alexandria and then all the way down to Stafford County, down Route 1.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of house sites down in Woodbridge that stuff like that was found. I even found a Chevalier bullet, which is a French bullet with a ring around it, the round ball, but that got like a ring, little narrow ring around it.
Oh, where it was compressed together, or was that?
It was made like that in a mold.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and so anyway, some of them are like kind of a black color, kind of a grayish black color, but they're heavy, And I read in a book one time this little colonial pamphlet that I think it was John Adams' wife and maybe his brother's wife were when they knew the Revolutionary War was breaking out, they were having trouble with the British. The women were taking pewter candlesticks and melting them down and making bullets, making musket balls, basically. So, lead. I mean, pewter has lead in it. It's a fairly heavy metal, so it would definitely work as a bullet.
Does pewter have any silver in it, Craig? Do you know? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I wasn't sure. I just, it popped in my head.
I don't know if it has tin in it or what. I can't remember.
I was just wondering.
I'm not sure.
Could be, yeah.
But some of it's crumbly, and then some of it is kind of almost shiny. So it probably depends on composition of the metals in it.
Well, I just thought, because they're considerably lighter than a regular musket ball. As for the size. So that's why I was wondering if it had some kind of other, lighter weight material in it. But pewter, other than pewter, what was in the pewter. But yeah. Oh, that reminded me. You were talking about you finding stuff, not knowing what it is a couple weeks ago, and it still reminds me of that story, Mike Miller, and this is the Florida Hunt 4 hunt that Michael Boyles went to, and all the guys down here in Florida were at it, and Mike Miller comes up to me towards the end of the day, and he goes, "Derek, can you tell me what the heck this is?" It's some kind of a button, I think. I've shown it to like 5 or 6 other people, and we can't figure out what it is. So I'll take a look at it. He hands it to me, and I look at it for like a minute or two, and I'm like, "Mike, this is not a button or anything." "Oh, what is it?" I said, "It's an acorn top." He goes, "What?" I said, "It's an acorn top." I said, "Watch." And I broke it. It just had a look about it. It was like really old. It was hilarious. And, there was like 5 or 6 people. He goes, "Oh my God, I've been carrying around an acorn top all day long." And people, it's a bad thing about it is, he goes, "I know my eyes are bad," because that's before he had his, his eyes worked on. But 6 other people or 7 other people said it was a button too, but they couldn't figure out what kind of button it was. I don't know. I probably would have done the same thing. It just didn't look right to me. I think I've done that before myself with a pinpointer. Kind of go through the dirt and all of a sudden knock that acorn top out, and that's not it. That's acorn top. So I guess I got used to that. But it was so hilarious when he did that. Every once in a while, you misidentify something big time. I did that with that. Those paint scraper with a razor blade in them. They're about 3 inches long, about 2 inches wide. You put a razor blade in them, scrape paint off a window and stuff. I found one of those in on the Causeway, Highway 60 going into Clearwater. There's a little beach right there, and I'd been metal detecting that, and I get this good hit, and I'm dig it out, and it comes out. It was totally encrusted in black, like you would find silver. It's been in the ground for 100 years. It was totally encrusted, and I took it. As a matter of fact, I stopped by my parents' house on the way home, and I didn't even know what my dad was doing at the time. He picks it up, he takes it out to the shop, and I thought he was going to get a better look at it or whatever, get a little file, see if he could file a little bit of it off, something like that. Hits it with a ball peen hammer. I about freaked out. I'm like, "Oh, Dad, what are you doing? You can't do that." He goes, "Oh, I don't think you have treasure." I said, why? He goes, I think he saw the push button broke free. So it was a paint scraper. It looks like silver. That's about the worst I ever got fooled, I think. But you just don't know. It's totally encrusted in black, like a real would be if it was sitting in the ocean for, however long. And so we all get fooled once in a while.
Yeah, well, I've had people, try to turn something into something,
Right. It's all pirate treasure until you find out it's not, That's what I've always said about beach hunting.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's, there's studs like for jeans and stuff. A lot of people get fooled by those and think, what in the heck is this, And
oh, yeah.
Some of them have stars on them,
The one that always got me was the Canon with the Eagle. The Blazer jackets from that fooled me big time.
They'll have a anchor on them too. Sometimes.
Yeah, anchor. That's what it was.
Anchor.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a Navy button.
Well,
Navy Blazer button.
I did find a button, and this was in the church property, and it has a train on it. And some of the guys were telling me, this has been several years ago now. I probably have to dig the thing back out. But they're saying, I've never seen anything like that during the Civil War era. It's probably from the 1910 or something like that. And I was looking a couple of weeks ago, same identical button, dated at 1859, same button I found. And mine's in a little bit worse shape and not quite as, not real bad. I mean, you definitely see the train on it and everything. So here it is. It's pre-Civil War. I find it in a lot that, it was there, obviously, or it could have been dropped because that first church was put there in 1858. So it's obviously dropped there at some time, probably come off somebody's jacket or whatever. But I thought it was pretty cool to find a button in there that old. And that's the only Civil War era thing I found that I know of. I mean, I found the, what do they call them, phonographs or whatever, the horn thing. I can't remember what they call those. The old record players, Craig. It has that big horn.
Oh, yeah.
I found the elbow that goes from the big piece connects to the actual machine. Found one of those. Found the old church keys.
What's that called? A Victoria or something?
Victola. Victola? Oh heck,
something like that, isn't it?
Hey, I can't speak English good. Why are you going to ask me to speak Italian or something?
My brother has a working one up in New Jersey with some of the original records.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild.
Yeah.
It's got this big horn on it.
Victrola. I think it's Victrola.
Yeah, Victrola. That's what it is.
Yeah. I have a hard time speaking English. I can't speak whatever that name is. My pronunciation kind of sucks most of the time. I butcher enough names. Nobody wants me to tell them their name or to say their name.
Hey you.
Yeah, hey you. I answer to that myself. If I didn't have my name on my belt, I'd probably forget it too. So, at any rate, Ohio Relic Hunter. He said pewter is a malleable metal alloy, traditionally 85 to 99% tin, with the remainder consisting of copper, antimony, bismuth, and sometimes less commonly used lead. Silver is also sometimes used. Copper antimony act as hardeners, while the lead is common in the lower grades of pewter, which have bluish tint. So, Mr. Ohio Relic Hunter.
A lot of the ones with lead will be crumbly looking. I think the USA and twine buttons I got are more, crumbly type lead. But some of the pewter, it'll, like the candlesticks, it's like shiny almost,
right.
Real smooth.
Yeah, and he said that, the musket ball had a bluish tint, so it's obviously, it's made primarily with lead also. But at any rate, yeah, it knew it was lead.
The one that the stealth diggers dug, they'd never seen one like it, and I'm pretty sure it's, it looked kind of shiny almost, and it's
right.
the same size. And got weight to it. So I said it's got to be pewter.
Yeah,
they didn't know, but I told them, they did make bullets out of pewter, something.
Right. Well, Gavin McGregor says pewter, tin, and lead in those days. Today it's more copper in with it, I guess. So Edison phonograph, the Victrola. Dang, Bill Marsh is just a wealth of information now. I tell you, Bill knows a little bit about everything because he's the one that came up with the Victrola. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting on chat tonight. Jeez. Anyway. And Bill is like the spokesman. He knows a little bit about everything. Bill's a good guy. We had a chance to hunt with Bill up there a couple times up there at the CWPPO hunt and everything. He's fun, and he has the best spots to hunt at too, I think. So, at any rate, I tell you, it's this. A lot of the people that listen to this show, man. That's why I always say, if you have a question about metal detecting or whatever, put it up on chat, man. These guys are all, spot on with stuff, man. They'll if they don't know, they'll find out. That's for sure. I haven't seen Brandon. Brandon must be working tonight, Swazi Searcher. But yeah, you just never know. It all comes down to you're going to dig a whole lot of trash before you dig treasure. It seems like sometimes. And that's what I've been in a rut about. I get a few good things, but I guess just getting out there and having fun is the main thing about it. It's what I've always enjoyed. Just not when it's 3 million degrees and the trees are melting. But but anyways, buddy, I'll probably wrap it up for the night, guys. Sound good with you, Craig?
Yeah, it's almost 9:30.
Yeah, 9:30. Yeah, we should just make it an hour and a half show, 2 hour show. But at any rate, we'll be on Saturday night, guys. We're on every Thursday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, we got the Facebook page for Hardcore Metal Detecting and our YouTube channels and stuff. Craig Talley and Derek Asklar both as far as YouTube. So check them out. Make sure you like and follow the show or tell a friend about it. That way, they can enjoy a little bit of the radio shows too. We got a lot of them on Spreaker. Just dealing with metal detecting, there are up to 5 of them now. Relic Roundup, All Metal Mode, Beyond Sight and Sound, Relics Radio, and there's one more, Craig. Oh, yeah, History Seekers. I'm sorry there. Heath Jones is probably kicking me right now. I didn't remember his show. But yeah, there's a lot of good shows on there. Check them out, download them, whatever. You can listen to them on the way to work. I noticed that like 72% of everything that is listened to and downloaded is mostly on iPhones and Androids. I was looking at the analytics the other day. I was like, wow, I thought there'd be more people on like laptops and iPads and stuff like that. But you just pick it up you can get the app right there on your phone and listen right from the website if you wanted to, or you could just download it onto your phone or what have you and listen to it that way. So I guess we'll wrap it up for the night, guys. Thanks for listening, and get out there, keep digging, and God bless. Have a good night.